Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inclusive Arts Motor Challenges page. Starting off with our quote, "The development of a child's motor skills is crucial for self-esteem, confidence, and independence." Dr. Maria Montessori. Dr. Maria is an Italian physician and educator who is known for developing her own child educational philosophy. First, we will learn about fine motor skills. So, according to the Cleveland Clinic in 2023, fine motor skills are defined as the small, precise movements we make with our hands, fingers, feet, and toes. These skills are typically done with what some would say the smaller muscles or digits in the body. Common challenges for those with decreased fine motor skills includes challenges with coordination, strength, and manipulation, which, as you can imagine, can greatly impact one's ability to participate in the visual arts due to having to manipulate and utilize so many different tools and materials. Now we will learn about gross motor skills and their impact on the arts. So, gross motor skills are defined as the large, sweeping movements we make with our arms, legs, and torso, according to the Brighton Center in 2026. You may think that these skills are not included in the visual arts because they're not running around or doing cartwheels, but we'll discuss this more in the next slide. So similar to fine motor challenges, those with decreased gross motor skills also experience decreased coordination and strength, but they also may experience balance issues or postural instability. As you can imagine, this may increase students' difficulty carrying art supplies, reaching on the top shelf, or maintaining balance while safely working on a project, etc. We will now discuss various types of modifications to address these challenge areas. I encourage you to also watch the Davis Adaptive Art videos for even more ideas. Keep in mind these modifications may be used across all grade levels and you may alter them as necessary. As you are already familiar with, there are multiple art tools out there that require to be held similarly to a pencil, such as markers, wood carvers, clay shaping tools, knives, oil pastels, etc. Thus, these modifications can be used for any similar device. For those with decreased grasp, proper grip, or strength, building up the handles and creating a wide grip can make all the difference. You can do this a variety of ways with various materials, such as masking tape, just using like the foam or plumbing insulation, beauty blenders, tennis balls, rubber bands, the cheap little grippers, ergonomic crayons, easy holds, or what's known as the functional hand. So, if you have appropriate funding available from your resources, you may find the easy holds, which is this top left picture here, uh, as well as the functional hand, which is the bottom middle picture, or the ergonomic crayons, top right picture there, may be a good option for you, as these are cost a little bit more but are very useful. But if you don't have an appropriate funding source or would like to keep things low cost, which is totally fine, you can use any of these other low cost materials that you have on hand or ask for donations. Oftentimes, these are just sitting around the house, anyways. So sometimes even a simple rubber band will make a large difference, or you can even encourage finger painting as you see appropriate. Again, working with team members to determine what would be best for each student. So sometimes our projects may involve varying degrees of needing to cut objects or do some sort of tracing. Again, you do not need to go out of your way to use your own money to pay for these items, but collaborating with your special educators and related services may help you provide these resources or know where they are available. So starting off, there are all sorts of adaptive scissors out there to aid with cutting, and these specific modifications may be listed in the student's IEPs. So as you can see in that top right picture there, all sorts of adaptive scissors, and that bottom one is a tabletop scissor that helps students just simply push down. But sometimes creating projects that only require like tearing paper rather than cutting can help get all students involved. Also, if you have a Cricut available at your school to you or some sort of shaped puncher like those seen on the far left picture here, this will provide students autonomy and they can still say what their overall vision is while eliminating the need to cut complex shapes themselves. And also using stencils or cookie cutters for tracing or pressing can provide the students with their own unique designs, colors, etc., while providing kind of a raised surface if they have coordination challenges, if they don't have any fine motor control, but they can just push down. Just a few things to think about. So, yep, the Cricut's there in that third picture over on the bottom. From the left side, we have our cookie cutter with clay here, and this here as the top, or excuse me, is the second picture over on the bottom row. And as well as this tiger stencil is on the top left here is showing kind of more of a complex stencil that students can use. Next, simply modifying the work surface for students can increase their independence to create beautiful work. So taping down paper can help keep it in place for students who may have challenges with coordination, or for more heavy duty supplies, you might be able to use clamps for even if they're just the cheap ones from Home Depot or clothespins or things so that they can attach to wheelchair trays or desks. So keeps everything in place and decreases the risk of spilling art materials as well. Also, having students' work surfaces be in the vertical plane can allow for more natural movement and aid with their postural stability and balance and overall balance. And I know not every school may be able to provide an easel like this one in the top left here, but simply taping the work to a wall or something similar is low cost and makes a huge difference by having it in that vertical plane. Also, for those who may have difficulty reaching the top shelves or have decreased strength, using a supplies cart can take away these barriers. Also, students or yourself can select which supplies you'll need for the lesson before starting, and you can have them either placed on the cart or just already have the supplies out on the table. That way, no one's singled out. But using your best judgment and some trial and error for what would be most effective, as well as gaining the students' input on your different methods. So, these following modifications may be beneficial for those who have decreased strength, especially for different art containers such as glue or paint, etc. So, again, do not feel the need to buy anything, but know that even just a simple rubber band or recycled bottles can make a big difference. So one example of to modify the glue is you could either brush on the glue or dab it with a sponge if you already have the glue in a plate. That way they're not having to squeeze it on there so much. Also using leftover condiment or silicone containers like a ketchup bottle, mustard bottle, dish soap bottle. Those are typically a little bit more easier to squeeze than those hard plastics. And again, not needing to buy anything, but you could use buy a jar opener if that's would be available to you. Or again, using a simple rubber band around the lid will help make it a little bit easier to grab and give them more independence. Pump dispensers are really great. You could use it for paint or whatever material. And they require a little bit less fine motor control and strength. And again, sliding materials across work surfaces can aid those who have the decreased strength and endurance rather than picking it up and carrying it the whole way. So here are just a few other fun ideas that can kind of get all students involved. Again, you can adjust based on the age level or grade level and age, but starting off with some salad spinner paint, If you have a salad spinner hanging out already, students get to have some autonomy and choose the colors that they want, and it requires less fine motor control because they're just simply pushing that top button down. Also using marble painting, so putting globs of paint on there. Maybe you're using a cookie sheet or a clipboard or a tray. Again, requires less fine motor control, and they get to work on those gross motor skills. The color bug, again, you do not need to buy anything, but as this one costs a little bit more, but it's kind of designed more for those with more advanced needs, but it can be engaging and motivating for all students. So it's just a little button that you hit and it kind of draws and sings for you, but they get to choose the colors and the direction that it goes. Also, string art can be great. It can be adapted by attaching like a large bead to the end of the thread, so it's easier to hold on to and re weave around. But each of these modifications can be graded up or down depending on whatever your students' needs are, but it really allows them to get actively involved and create just beautiful pieces. So here's our first highlight with Emily at Really Good Ceramics. Emily became paralyzed at the age of 13 years old due to a virus and has not been able to regain movement. However, she found art to be a healing outlet for her. Her older sister Olivia creates ceramics that Emily is then able to mouth paint, so together they can make beautiful pieces to sell for their company, Really Good Ceramics. Emily is an example that having motor challenges does not have to hold you back from being an outstanding artist. Sometimes, as educators, all you really need to be is just be the cheerleaders and be encouraging and really believing in your students in general. But please learn more about Emily and Olivia in the additional resources section, as I absolutely love their business and I encourage you to check it out. But thanks so much for listening to the Motor Challenges page and presentation, and we will see you in the next video. Here are my references. Thanks.